Ladies, what's the color of a red flag? Yeah, it's right on your screen. It's red. It's not blue, it's not pink, not green, not yellow. It's red. And red is synonymous with stop, don't go, redirect, turn around, detour, get out, don't even proceed with caution. It means stop. And no, you can't try to work around it or adjust or compromise or let it slide and let's see where it's going. No, it simply means stop, don't go. Now ladies, let me ask you a question. How many of us, say while driving on the highway or even crossing the street, come upon a red stop sign and we decide to proceed, cross the street, go through the red light? Who does that? Only a person who's possibly looking for their death or to be injured or to harm themselves in some way. That's not going to be a smart decision. So why do we do this to ourselves with red flags? It's the same concept. Red flags are those warning signs, that stimulus, that trigger that tells our bodies, our hearts, and our mind that danger is impending, don't go. But we oftentimes ignore these signs and end up in situations that cause us unnecessary hurt and pain because we just decided to go head first. Like ladies, we need to start getting a grip of ourselves. And none of us are exempt. We've all been through relationships where we've seen red flags and we blindfolded our eyes, still proceeded, and that wasn't worth it. So ladies, here are 10 red flags that we ought not to ignore under any circumstances. 1, that gut feeling, that intuition, that womanly instinct, that feeling that you get deep down inside of your belly that tells you something is off about this. Please, let's start paying more attention to this, because most times this is warning us before we can see what that person is trying to mask behind a pretty smile or charming ways and buying gifts and all these pleasantries. People are very pretensive. Pay attention to that gut feeling, because more often than not, it's trying to warn you about something. 2, you feel isolated from your friends, family, your colleagues. You feel like if you're alone, your circle is closing in on you. You start losing friends, or the bonds that you previously had with your relatives, family members are not so strong anymore, or even in some circumstances no longer exist. You need to pay attention to feelings of isolation, and not just feeling, if you're literally being isolated in a relationship that you're in, and detour and exit out of that. 3, you're starting to feel like if you're going crazy. You're losing your senses. You question, you second guess things that you see, that you knew you saw. However, this person is trying to convince you otherwise, and you're second guessing yourself. They even call you crazy and mad. Yes, you're actually crazy and you're actually mad, but not for the reasons that they are calling you mad. For continuing to stay in that relationship and circumstance, get out. 4, your boundaries are constantly being crossed and stepped over. Now ladies, this is a very big red flag. This should indicate to you that this person doesn't have basic respect for your boundaries, for those no-go areas, those walls that you've set up in your life to protect your interests. This person is constantly overstepping them, crossing them, and trying to push those boundaries to get you to compromise them. That's a red flag, and you're not entertaining it. So you know what to do. Hit the door. 5, and this is a more subtle red flag that we tend to overlook, but nevertheless it's equally important, and it's when a person is rushing you or moving too fast to commit to you, especially someone that you've just started knowing, and all of a sudden they're already talking about marriage, they're talking about starting a family, starting a joint account with you, suggesting that you use your lifetime savings to go purchase a house or some sort of substantial asset in the beginning of this relationship. You haven't even met his family members yet or know his inner circle, yet this person is suggesting that you start committing really quickly. That's a warning sign, ladies, and you need to pay attention to it and do not give in. 6, when something is too good to be true, it's because it's too good to be true. It's basic, and I know this from personal experience, that nothing is ever so pitchy, so well packaged, perfect, all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed. Like, this person is just presenting themselves to you as an angel of light that just, descended from heaven and just fell into your arms, and he's just so picture perfect. His life seems so perfect, and even to you, it doesn't seem to add up. You're unsettled about some of the things, and you're even questioning yourself about the picture perfect life that this person is presenting to you. Pay attention to that, because more than likely there may be some hidden agendas happening there. 7, this person is controlling and possessive. Now ladies, controlling and possessive behavior does not always manifest itself directly. If a person won't just take you by the hand and grab you and say, no, you can't do this, or you can't go here. Possessive and controlling behavior often manifests itself in other ways, like constantly calling you while you're out with your family or your friends, constantly keeping tabs on you, doing things that will seduce you into doing what they want you to do, if you understand what I mean. So it's an indirect way of controlling you by their behaviors and their actions that are so vile and so toxic that literally induces you to do things that you ordinarily would not have done. It's like a form of manipulation. Ladies, pay attention to this, please, and get out. Do not even entertain the very sight of this. 8, you find yourself constantly explaining to a grown adult about basic human decency and respect. Like, everybody knows it's common courtesy to say good morning, say good evening on entering a room. Basic manners. Like, we don't need to be explaining to grown adults about elementary life principles. Say for example, you're out with a guy and he's literally pursuing a woman in your presence, and you have to be there explaining to him why this is offensive, why it's not okay, why he shouldn't be doing this. Like, we have no time to be tutoring grown people about basic manners and decency. You understand? That is a big red flag. So please, ladies, don't entertain it. 9, humiliating and demeaning behavior. Public humiliation, talking down to you in the presence of your friends and your family, doing embarrassing things while you're out in public. Ladies, that's another form of control and manipulation, and you know what that is. We've all experienced this in some form or the other. Please, this is a very big red flag. Do not entertain. Do not condone. Do not even think that, yeah, I let them off the hook this one time. Do not even consider entertaining that form of behavior, not even once. It's not going to get better, and you will be setting a precedent for the way that you will be treated later on in that relationship. So you have to nip that in the bud. And number 10, ladies, you find yourself constantly making excuses for this person. It's almost like you're defending their bad behavior. You know deep down inside that it's hurting you, that you're uncomfortable with it, but you're making excuses for them. So saying things like, yeah, he's going through a rough patch right now, or I know he loves me, but he wants to change and I'm giving him some time. He cares about me, however, he's been through a really terrible past and that is just his way of dealing with things. No. Stop making excuses for this type of behavior. That is you literally giving the go-ahead for that behavior to continue and persist in your relationship. Just don't. So ladies, I've been burnt. And you would think that after being burnt one time and going through experiences like that, we will wake up and then find our senses and do right the second time. No. You find yourself in those circumstances again. Ladies, these are patterns that we're starting to develop in our lives and we need to break them. There comes a time when enough is enough and we need to get a grip of our lives and take control and take our power back. The person that you see when you say no, that is who they really are. When people show you who they are, believe them. We've heard this saying many times before, but it's literal. You won't go to restaurants and see rodents running around on the table, on the floor, and then continue to eat in that restaurant, would you? And say, oh, well, it hasn't run on my table, or it's not in my vicinity, so I could still stay here and dine. No, you're not going to do that. It's the same thing with red flags. When you see them, you get out, you leave, you don't entertain it, you don't work around it, and you don't try to make yourself comfortable in an uncomfortable situation because you want to see the good in everybody. You want to give this person a try. Stop giving red flags a second, third, fourth, fifth, 101 chances. As ladies, we tend to wear our emotions on our sleeves and we think with our heart rather than with our minds. Please, ladies, I'm asking you to stop and re-evaluate this form of thinking. Think rationally and practically. Think with your mind. Stop convincing yourself and creating these fantasies about what this person could be like or what this relationship could turn out like when it's staring you blank in the face that this is a disaster waiting to happen. Let's take people for who they are. What we see is what we get. Trust your gut, ladies. It's not too late to reassess and reevaluate those relationships in our lives and start mounting healthy boundaries to help take you through your journey of leveling up and becoming a better version of yourself. Ladies, that's all that I have for you today. Always remember, you either choose yourself or you lose yourself. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.